The email arrived while I was cleaning my rifle in the barracks, still with desert sand on my boots. Subject: participation confirmation. Natural products. Fair, Derek Miller. My name. My email. A fair in Ohio. I was in the middle, east. I clicked, thinking it was a mistake, but there was more. Logo, address, QR code, and a note in the footer. Thank you for trusting your image and brand to our products. I didn't have any brand. My name is Derek Miller, 39 years old, retired sergeant, now on a civilian medical support mission, married for 8 years. I enlisted at 18, learned to stay quiet at 20, and at 35, I learned how to spot a lie just by looking. That same week, I got an unexpected charge on my card, 842 labeled Graphic Materials, Derek Miller banner. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. Only one thought came to mind. They used my name, and not just in any way. My image, my signature, my military background. Someone was profiting off my life while I slept in a metal container at 113 degrees under strict silence orders. I requested a 3-day emergency leave. Didn't say why, just boarded the flight. The fair was happening at the community gym in my own hometown, where I played football as a teenager, where I returned from Afghanistan and got a standing ovation. This time, I walked in alone. No uniform, no announcement. In the third row, between soap and kombucha booths, I saw the tent with my name. Derek Miller, Natural Combat Line. Photos of me in uniform printed on essential oil bottles. Phrases like veteran-approved formula, an American flag, waving behind a vinyl banner, and behind the booth, smiling and hugging customers, was my mother-in-law, Karen. She was using my face to sell fake eucalyptus oil, and she had been doing it for months, proudly, laughing, with the name Miller listed at the entrance as the founder. When she saw me, she froze, but only for a second, then said, "Oh, Derek, what a lovely surprise. Come take a picture." "With us!" I didn't answer. I looked around. A group of seniors was posing for a selfie holding a bottle of military anti-stress spray. A kid wore a cap with my name on it. I said nothing. Just picked up a bottle from the table, read the fake label with expired seal, and took a photo with my own phone. Karen tried to laugh. "It's all just marketing. You know how it is." I just shook my head, put the bottle back down. She didn't notice I was already recording everything. The humiliation was public and profitable, and it had my name on it. This wasn't just counterfeiting. It was identity theft, and I wanted every cent back, with interest. The day after the fair, I spent the morning sitting in the gym parking lot. Inside the rental car, phone in hand, I started pulling the threads. Karen used my name on everything: website, labels, packaging. But the business registration said otherwise. I opened the State Revenue Department portal. Business name, KM Wellness and Naturals. Legal owner, Karen McKinley. Tax address, the house where she lived with my late father-in-law. In the corner of the website, a tab about the founder. I clicked. My photo in full size, a paragraph claiming I developed formulas during international missions to combat PTSD, and that now, back in the US, I decided to enter the alternative health field. There were even fake testimonials from supposed former squad mates. Names I recognized. People who would never authorize this. One of them was dead. I went to Instagram, at Combat Naturals. Videos of Karen talking about the power of oils used by soldiers in the field. In some clips, my wife, her daughter, was in the background, laughing with friends while packing boxes. One of them said, "This one's lavender. Derek always uses it before bed, right?" Caption, "Tested by a hero, approved by the one who loves him." Every click was a knife, but it wasn't just exposure. It was money. A lot. I checked a site that tracks online stores. Karen was selling on 4 marketplaces. Estimated revenue, according to the platform's public dashboard, over $240,000 in the past 12 months. Profit built on lies. I looked at my own bank balance, 1362, and another recent transaction under my name, purchase of 5,000 sticker labels saying, "Exclusive formula by Derek Miller." The account was linked to my SSN. She had opened a business card using my info. That required documentation. Signature, ID, my military ID number, all forged. I emailed the bank requesting the IP address that created the account. They asked for documents. I filed a fraud report, but it would take days. Karen knew I wasn't here, knew I wouldn't see it, and when I did, it'd be too late. I got home late that afternoon. My wife, Rachel, was in the yard watering the plants. She looked surprised, a bit uneasy. "You're back?" 3 days. Had to handle a personal issue. She tried to smile, but her eyes said something else. "I thought you'd let me know. I thought you guys would let me know." She didn't answer. We stayed quiet until dinner. Halfway through the meal, she said, "Mum just wanted to help. You always said you wanted to start a business. With my face, my military record. It's just marketing. You know there's nothing wrong with that. Do you know who signed to open the company?" She looked away. Silence again. I asked her not to put your name on the label, but she didn't finish the sentence. She stood up and walked away from the table. I just sat there, staring at the plate. And then it hit me. Rachel knew. Not only did she know, she was involved. That night, I entered the back room. It was where Rachel worked on the computer. I found 3 sealed boxes, labels with my photo, bottles with my name on them. In the bottom drawer of the desk, a stack of printed contracts. Most of them had scanned signatures. Mine. Karen hadn't just started a business. She had built a fake identity operation, using my military record as a marketing shield. And Rachel, the woman who shared my bed, had been an accomplice from the start. I remembered the first label I ever saw. Natural Combat Line. Combat. They used my pain as a stamp of quality. The next day, I went to the company's registered address, Karen's house. I pretended I was just stopping by to talk. She was alone. "Glad you came. We can go over some new ideas. I was thinking of a special line for Veterans Day. You opened an account under my name, using my information. I want every single document." She widened her eyes for 2 seconds, then laughed. "Oh, Derek, you really think the bank cares? The company's legal. We're creating jobs. You should be thankful. This brand could be yours one day." "It never was mine." She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "You're gonna tell me you never liked being respected? That parade last year, did you see how many people came to applaud you? Because of us. Because of us." She was using patriotism as emotional blackmail. I turned around and said nothing else, but before leaving, I took a photo of the shelf, printed certificates with my name, trophies for best natural product, signed by event organizers, all based on a lie. In the car, I called a number I'd kept since active duty. Mark Hastings, veteran, friend, cybersecurity expert. "I need tracking, IPs, accounts, documents, and someone who knows when not to ask questions." The answer was short. "Send it all." I hung up and took a deep breath. They thought I was just a picture on a label. They forgot that before that, I was a soldier. I returned to base 3 days later. Took only a flash drive and a purpose. On the plane, I reviewed everything. Footage from the expo, screenshots of the site, receipts with my name, forged contracts. Each item was a piece of evidence. I wasn't going to confront. I was going to document. As soon as I landed, I contacted Mark Hastings. He'd left the service 2 years earlier, but never lost the instinct for tracking digital lies. We met at a quiet cafe near the civilian support base. No uniforms, no past on display. "Is this big?" he asked, flipping through the papers I'd brought. "It smells like a network, and I want to know who's holding the rope." Mark nodded. We set up a simple plan. Silence, collection, infiltration. Step 1. traced the IP addresses of the accounts created under my name. Karen had used a fixed address, her home Wi-Fi, a rookie mistake from someone who thinks they'll never be caught. Step 2. Remote monitoring. Mark sent a fake update link to the store's email. Karen clicked it. We installed a keylogger. We started receiving, in real time, everything she typed, including bank passwords. The following week, I bought 2 devices, a micro camera with audio the size of a button and a sticker GPS, both untraceable, both flawless. At night, I returned to town, waited for Karen to leave for the market, entered, through the back door using the spare key Rachel had never removed from my chain. I hid the camera inside the picture frame in the living room, where she hosted her live streams. The mic went inside a lamp fixture. In the car, I stuck the GPS under the bumper. I wanted to know who she was meeting, because something told me she wasn't doing this alone. Over the next few days, I returned to base like nothing had happened, but every night, I reviewed the transcripts and images Mark sent me. Karen kept talking to someone named Brad. Male voice, arrogant tone, direct instructions. Label costs will be cheaper at the Utah printer, he said in one audio. And let me know if that idiot Derek signed the release yet. We need to push the Boston event. It wasn't just her, it was an operation. And they were using my name as a patriotic front for laundering money with adulterated products. Meanwhile, Rachel started texting me. Can we talk? When are you coming back? I replied coldly. Simple, no emotion. Still in the desert. She didn't know that while she slept in the house that used to be ours, I'd already installed a second camera in the office where she packed the bottles. Rachel received a shipment days later, boxes with labels from Mexico, expired ingredients, and a bottle with a sour smell that reminded me of when we treated wounds without anesthesia. The next night, Karen and Brad had a revealing conversation. She said, "He's not going to do anything. He's military, follows orders. He'll stay quiet." Brad laughed. "Those guys are full of honor, but dumb. While he's out there cleaning wounds in the middle of nowhere, we're making a fortune." Mark called me that night. Just pulled Brad's data. Full name, Bradley Norris. He has 3 shell companies. One of them got direct transfers from Karen's account. Another is in a proxy's name. The third, under Rachel. Silence. What fields? Cosmetics, distribution, consulting. All natural, all under your name. I went home one last time, entered quietly, walked past the empty bedroom, took a copy of the company contract, and left behind one of my old business cards in an envelope with a handwritten note. "You put my name on top of the packaging. Now you're going to swallow every single line of the content." The following week, Mark organized the files in chronological order, dates, audio recordings, screenshots, bank statements. We put together 3 dossiers, one for the bank, another for the lawyer, and the third for the state prosecutor's office. Karen, Brad, and Rachel thought I was just a useful name, a sellable face, a convenient symbol. They miscalculated, because I was never a display. I'm a trigger. 2 weeks later, the camera we installed in Karen's living room captured exactly what I needed. She was sitting at the table, signing receipts. Next to her, Brad was speaking quietly on the phone. Sales dropped after we removed the veteran line from the campaigns. It needs to come back. People buy stories, not products. Karen responded coldly. He doesn't want to participate. He's out. We can use another face. Replacing a hero doesn't drive engagement. That label of his, it has emotional value. Emotional value. They weren't just profiting. They were selling the idea of sacrifice, of patriotism, of pain, my pain. Mark had already matched the credit cards used to open companies in my name with bank records. The digital signatures came from 2 IP addresses, Karen's house and an office belonging to one Douglas Frazier, attorney. I went after him. Douglas didn't appear in any bar association records. He was a ghost lawyer hired by Brad to create fake legal documentation, shell company addresses, contracts validated with fake client IDs, and more. He had registered the Combat Naturals product patents in my name, with a forged power of attorney. Patents now being sold to a distributor in Texas. I caught that detail while reviewing audio from a Zoom meeting. Karen, Brad, and Douglas were discussing numbers. The goal was clear: sell the patriotism line as a ready-made brand, estimated profit, $500,000. That same week, I got a call from base. Rachel had tried to reach me through a Navy contact, said we needed to talk. I ignored her. But that night, I opened a folder on my laptop. Old videos. A Thanksgiving dinner. Rachel smiling beside me. Karen serving mashed potatoes like it was a ceremony. A toast. To our hero. My face was there, but my presence was ornamental. I paused at the moment Rachel leaned her head on my shoulder and smiled at the camera. That image didn't hurt, like it used to. Now it taught me something. They never saw me as family. They saw me as a front. The following Sunday brought another revelation. Karen visited her mother, my ex-grandmother-in-law, I guess. The camera recorded everything. During casual conversation, Karen said, "He'll end up coming back. He always does. Soldiers are like that. Devoted, loyal, and dumb." The old lady just muttered something like, "Don't push your luck." Karen laughed. "Luck's got nothing to do with it. We have contracts, registered trademarks, videos of him using the products. Just connect the dots. If he complains, it's marketing. If he pushes, it's defamation." She was right. Almost. But that night, Mark found the network's weak point. The Texas distributor. They're involved in a recall for contaminated supplements. Ongoing investigation. If this leaks, the DA might unravel the whole web. "Can you get it in?" He laughed. "Already did." The next day, I sent an anonymous letter to the Texas Department of Health with documents, screenshots, and a sample of Karen's products. I included the fake military authorization bearing my name. 7 days later, the recall was official. Immediately, the distributor froze the contract to purchase the Combat Naturals line. Brad lost it. The audio shows him yelling over the phone, "What the hell did you people put in those bottles? Now the FDA is all over us." Karen tried to calm him. "It's temporary. We'll rebrand and relaunch." But the damage was done. On my end, I finished compiling the full dossier with Mark. We filed it with 3 agencies: the State Department of Justice, the IRS, and the Food and Drug Administration, with attachments, screenshots showing company creation with traced IPs, audio from the meetings, forged contracts, transfers between shell companies, emails from Rachel confirming international shipments with expired labels. 2 days later, a state prosecutor called. "Mr. Miller, your name has come up as a victim in a multi-party complaint. We're building a case regarding identity, misuse and interstate commercial fraud. Would you be willing to testify?" "It's ready, and I have more names." I sent everything, including Rachel's name. It was the last thread tying me to that chapter. That night, I sat on the couch, lights off, fan humming. I thought of Karen's words. Soldiers are loyal. She was right, but she forgot the rest. A loyal soldier doesn't take revenge by screaming. He surrounds with silence and shoots with evidence. The warrant was executed on a grey morning, with autumn wind and the smell of rain in the air. No sirens, just 3 unmarked cars from the State Department of Justice and 2 FDA agents. Karen was pouring coffee when they knocked on the door. "Miss Karen McKinley, we have a search and seizure warrant and a subpoena." She tried to smile, as if she still didn't understand. But when the agent opened the folder with the documents, including label copies, forged contracts, and recorded audio, the smile disappeared. In the report, there was a signature, mine. At the same time, another team visited the warehouse rented by Brad. They found boxes with tampered labels, cross-invoicing between shell companies, and a server containing duplicated files PDFs of military documents altered with my name. Rachel was served in person. She was at the dental office where she worked as a receptionist. When she received the envelope, she didn't cry. She didn't argue. She just sat down and stared into space. In the state prosecutor's office, I gave my statement. Present in the room were Laura Jennings, the lead prosecutor on the case, 2 legal analysts, and a representative from the FDA. I showed them the dossiers Mark and I compiled. Dates, evidence, records, product routes, proof of the transfers. Every slide contained a line that once belonged to me, and now served as accusations against them. At the end of the presentation, Laura looked at me. "Mr. Miller, what happened to you is more than identity theft. It's exploitation. Commercial, emotional, symbolic, but we're going to hold them accountable, one by one." Formal charges were filed in 2 courts, state and federal. Among the accusations were unauthorized use of military identity for commercial purposes, document forgery, consumer fraud, money laundering through shell companies, distribution of fraudulently labeled substances. Karen claimed she didn't know how serious it was, but the recordings said otherwise. In one of them, she stated, "We're safe. He'll never report it. Military guys are closed off. He'll try to handle it privately." Brad tried to discredit the files, claimed the recordings could have been manipulated. The forensic expert confirmed originals, unedited, admissible in court. Under pressure from the prosecution, Rachel chose to speak. In her formal statement, she admitted to signing documents without reading them, said she trusted her mother, but she also confessed that even after seeing the fake labels, she chose not to question it. Laura called me the next day. Her confession might reduce the sentence, but it doesn't erase the guilt. She was part of it. I don't want distance. I want them to feel the weight of the name they hijacked. This isn't just justice. It's revenge. Legal, meticulous, and mine. "You'll get both," she said. The trial began, weeks later. No press, no audience, just those involved, their lawyers, and the law. Karen kept her composure until the prosecutor described how she used my image in misleading campaigns to sell products with a patriotic seal. One of the documents listed their target demographic as elderly, religious, and vulnerable veterans. That's when the mask fell. One of the jurors, a Gulf War veteran, folded his arms and stared at her for 2 full minutes. The final sentence would still take weeks, but the moral verdict was already clear. Outside the courthouse, Mark handed me an envelope. This came straight from the IRS. An analyst pulled records of other military-themed brands created in the past 3 years. At least 4 have structures similar to this operation. Someone's copying the model? Looks like Brad was just the tip. I put the envelope away, took a deep breath. It wasn't just my name they tried to sell. It was what that name stood for. My story, my pain, my silence. But now the country knew that not all silence is passivity. Some is just the sound of the scope adjusting. 2 months. After the final hearing, the sentencing came down. Karen got 4 years in a semi-open regime, plus fines for emotional damages and ideological falsehood. Brad got 6.5 for network fraud and money laundering. Rachel received 1 year of community service and had her assets frozen, enough for her to vanish from the city the following month. We never spoke again. The house where it all began was sold to help cover the compensation. The bottles, banners, awards, all auctioned, one by one. I refused the money, asked that it be donated to the local veterans hospital. This was never about profit, I told the judge. It was about a name, mine. He simply nodded. After that, I went back to what was left of my life. I rented a small house in rural Montana, surrounded by pine trees and silence. I got a dog, a Belgian shepherd, named him Echo. Sometimes, when the wind blows through the trees, I hear the crackle of dry leaves, and I remember what I learned early on. Some sounds aren't alarms, they're warnings. I kept all the case files in a leather folder, locked in a drawer. On top of it, a handwritten note from Mark. You didn't retaliate. You corrected the imbalance. In the back of the closet, I stored my old uniform, and next to it, one of the first counterfeit bottles with my face on it, the only one. I didn't destroy, not out of attachment, but to never forget what happens when you become a symbol for the wrong people. One morning, I received a letter, no return address, inside, a single sheet written in shaky handwriting. I'm the mother of a former soldier who was misled by those products. When the truth came out, he said it was the first time he felt someone had truly fought for him. Thank you for not letting it go. I pinned the letter to my fridge with a metal magnet. Because some days the silence of the forest weighs heavier than the noise of a battlefield. And on those days, I open the door, look at the letter, and remember that the revenge I chose wasn't made of gunpowder, it was made of strategy, and it won.